Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Colleen Conti, the Director of Product Marketing here at Monster. We're excited to share this content with you today. And just quickly before we get started, I'd like to let everyone know that a PDF version of the slides and the recording of today's session will be sent to you tomorrow. So you will be able to access the recording and the slides. So be on the lookout for that to be sent your way. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation today, so be sure to submit your questions in the chat. And I have my colleague Meg Goulet here as well to help with that. So today you'll be hearing from two experts from Monster. I'd love to get right into it and turn it over to our two speakers today, Jason and Kristen. Take it away.
All right, so you guys know the subject today. It's staying flexible in an evolving job market. We want to give you a look at Monster's Pay-for-Performance platform. My name is Jason Flash. I'm Senior Director of Pay-for-Performance Sales here at Monster. I've been with Monster for 4 years now. Prior to that, I spent several years in the recruiting industry as well as Indeed.com, Simply Hired as well. So hopefully I'm somewhat familiar with pay-for-performance and the overall recruitment advertising space here. Kristen, you want to intro yourself?
Thanks, Jason. Hello there. My name is Kristen Inman, and I am the Director of Monster's Pay-for-Performance Campaign Management Program. I've had the pleasure of partnering with folks like yourself in the recruitment industry for about the last 20 years. Prior to coming to Monster, I was with a boutique staffing firm focused on engineering, manufacturing, and light industrial. Jason and I know how important it is to stay flexible with these new strategies in order to be competitive in an unknown and changing environment. And we look forward to sharing with you over the next few minutes some areas where we think we can help you do just that.
So why does this matter in today's market? Well, we're seeing very different trends emerging, and it's really testing everybody's flexibility. Some companies are facing hiring freezes, furloughs, layoffs. For those that need to pull back as their needs have changed, in these scenarios, we have reduced or even paused spend to be used at a later date, right? But more importantly, what we've been able to do very effectively is change the focused campaign strategy to adapt and target the advertising spend on the needs that are causing your organizations the most pain. Right. Some customers are experiencing unprecedented hiring like never before. They're facing new immediate needs that require an increase in delivery and spend to drive more responses, faster, time to fill. Normal hiring is starting to return, albeit at a slower pace. But we'll get into that a little bit later as we talk to exactly how we segment campaigns to meet these needs. All of the situations we've just described require staying flexible. It's the power to focus on exactly what you need that makes the Pay-for-Performance platform so powerful. And we start by working with hiring managers to discuss upcoming hiring needs and to develop a strategy, the timing of the hires, and to prioritize based on goals that you set. We find that clear goals and objectives as well as transparency into how we're doing, are the keys to successful campaigning. We believe that it's most important to focus our efforts on providing a service that enables you to advertise as many jobs as possible while being sensitive to the cost structure and creating a strategy that focuses spend on hires that have the most value to you. Whenever possible, we try to advertise all of your job content. Right? We want to maximize your exposure on Monster and also bring down the overall campaign cost by blending that CPA whenever possible. More job content is good for Monster. You getting more of your jobs out there all the time is also good for you. You don't have to be as reactive because your jobs are already out there, and then we can focus the budget on the jobs that are really giving you the biggest pain. Performance-based recruiting is the most flexible offering we have at Monster, specifically pay-per-click advertising. Our platform is designed to expose all of your job content while prioritizing the jobs that are absolutely of the most importance to your business. We can adapt this targeting over time as your focus changes rather than focus on space or time or on individual postings. We manage campaigns with the intention at hitting the goals that you set, and that's really the North Star that we go by. We use different campaign strategies and a high-touch campaign management organization to make sure that we're really listening and focusing on the areas that are giving you the most pay. With that, I'm going to hand off to Kristen, and she'll tell you a little bit more of the specifics of how we campaign.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about how it actually works. Under traditional job posting advertising models, the cost per job is the same regardless of the job type, location, or competitive landscape. Yet the reality is some jobs simply are more challenging to fill or have a higher urgency. With traditional unit-based models like duration, employers have no way to influence cost or increase exposure. But with our pay-for-performance solution, you do. Jason, if you wouldn't mind to move to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about how we break that budget down. With a flexible budget model, pay-for-performance allows the employer to allocate the appropriate cost of advertising to each position. Those positions in higher demand, competitive markets, or simply need to be filled more quickly can receive a higher amount of the budget. For example, in today's environment, finding a nurse in an area like New York is very challenging, while customer service representatives that could work remotely are in greater supply. The cost to acquire these candidates are very different, and with pay-for-performance, you have the flexibility to allocate the appropriate level of budget to each of those roles as you see fit. So let's talk a little bit more about those roles that might potentially be remote. Jason, if we could move to the next slide. I think it's really quite remarkable how quickly many of us have transitioned to a full-time work from home environment. And while this has really happened out of sheer necessity, the reality is companies are seeing the financial benefit and embracing the effectiveness of remote employees. In fact, 62% of employees have indicated that they are more efficient working from home. So what does that mean for us in the talent acquisition space? It means that you don't need to settle. Settling for the limited candidate pool within your commuting area. It means that some roles, not all, but some, you can go after the top talent wherever they reside in the country. The right fit for your company might be a web designer in California or customer service reps in Texas. Monster offers many ways to target these candidates, nationwide, statewide, or even regional expansion opportunities. Sounds great, doesn't it? But it also sounds expensive. And under traditional unit-based posting solutions, facilitating an effective nationwide strategy can be very expensive. Let's be honest, sometimes it's more expensive than what's in our reach for many of us. Not anymore. With Monster Solution, we have a better option, one where we can help you build a location strategy at nearly any budget. Get you the talent you need at a price you can afford. So we've talked about strategy in terms of the price and reaching these candidates, but how do I know where to go after them, where to find them in my area? And Flash kind of alluded to this earlier in terms of how Monster differentiates itself from the competition. And if we could move on to the next slide, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about campaign management. Navigating this unprecedented territory can be really challenging and extremely time-consuming without the appropriate tools and resources. This is where Monster's pay-for-performance solution stands apart from the competition. Our team of industry-leading experts are here to help you save time and money. In addition to your sales partner, every pay-for-performance engagement is overseen by a dedicated campaign manager. Their objective is simple: deliver you the right candidate at the right price. Your campaign manager will partner with you throughout the entire process. You let us know your hiring needs, your priorities, and your cost targets, and we design the most optimal campaigns to suit those needs. Our optimization strategies are focused on your goals and current market conditions. meeting KPIs that you set rather than simply exhausting your budget. Our goal is also not to inundate you with unqualified candidates, wasting your time and budget. Your dedicated campaign manager will monitor your performance and make adjustments throughout the campaign to ensure that we deliver you the results that you need. So if this solution sounds like it may be a fit for you, let's talk a little bit about how we can get you started. As I mentioned, our pay-for-performance programs are really designed to your specific needs. So to get started, we'll need to know what success looks like for you. We'd recommend that you work with your hiring managers to prioritize current and future needs and determine if any of those roles could potentially be filled remotely. Once you have an idea of your target areas and potentially how much budget you'd like to spend, simply reach out to Jason's team and we'll get you partnered with an experienced PPC specialist right away. Or if you already have an existing relationship with a Monster sales contact, they'd be happy to get you started as well. So before we wrap up this conversation, we'd love to hear from you. Colleen, can you help us with any questions that we may have received throughout the discussion?
Absolutely. That was great. Thank you both for that wonderful information. We do have a few questions that have come in. So the first one here, someone wants to know, so does PPC advertising burn my budget quickly?
So that really depends on you, right? We have some customers that they don't really care to pace their account, right? They need candidates yesterday. If they give us a budget, they actually want us to spend it as quickly as possible because that yields the absolute greatest applicant volume in the shortest amount of time. But in the case where you're worried about having uptime for the entire month, we can use a series of logical caps and campaign segmentation to pace it out to make sure that you have budget for the entire month.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And Kristen, you talked a lot about campaign management. So how involved do I need to be, as the customer, need to be involved in that process?
That's a great question, Colleen. The answer to that is as much as you want to be involved. The biggest thing that we need from you is what are your success metrics? What are your priorities? And then what are the targets to get to them? So as Flash mentioned, sometimes that's about getting to your candidates as quickly as possible. And sometimes it's about meeting a specific KPI. So your role in this is to tell us what those campaign objectives are, set some targets, and then work with us to ensure that you're providing feedback in terms of how we're doing. It's simply put, the more information you give us, the quicker that we can get to the results that you're looking for. But it really is a service of as involved you'd like to be as possible. And if you're a more hands-off approach where I just need to give you my priorities and you run with the campaign, that's certainly something we can do as well.
Great. Thank you. That's awesome. So could you give a little bit more detail on how pricing works? Like, is there a minimum to get started? How does someone determine if they should take the next step?
So generally, we are looking for, we'd love to have large campaigns, but we are flexible, right? If you have volume hiring needs or a significant job volume, we want to hear from you. Right? I don't want to throw out a baseline number right now. I'd rather you reach out to our team, we evaluate your use case, and give you some specifics on what we think we can deliver. While I was talking, I did see a question pop up. You guys asked, how does our traffic compare to Indeed's, right? And I'd like to say Indeed has great traffic. I work there, right? And they've got a lot of traffic, but so does Monster, right? We find that when we do an excellent job of meeting the campaign criteria that you've set, and we're focusing your spend on the jobs that are your priority, right? You'll be asking us to spend more, right? Because we're helping you diversify your advertising mix. We're doing it at a price that you can afford with a high degree of customer service.
Yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you both again for your time. That was really helpful and informative. And again, if anyone has any interest, please email ppcsales@monster.com. And thank you all for joining.